Hey Grace Teens, Illuminate. Today we're going to be talking about a son requests wisdom. A son requests wisdom, and the doctrine is omniscience, in the sense that God is all-knowing. He knows everything, the past, present, future. He knows exactly what's going to happen to you today. Even when you don't know what's going to happen, He knows every decision that you're going to make. He knows everything. He knows what wisdom is and what wisdom you need for your life. And so, as we get into this, we see that wisdom comes from God, and He freely gives it to those who seek Him. So, what do you think makes a great leader? What do you think is the distinguishing mark of a great leader? Is it looks? Is it experience? Is it they give you money? Is it reacting perfectly to every single situation that comes up? Is it do whatever you want? Is it, there's all kinds of distinguishing marks that maybe you have an idea that should be a part of a great leader. Solomon was the wisest king in Israel's history. And aside from Jesus Christ, he's the wisest in all the earth. Now, did he always use the wisdom that God gave him? No, he made bad decisions. He did. He messed up quite a bit, but yet he was a very, very wise king, and he asked God for this wisdom, something that it was very much needed for a new king. So we see here that power, wealth, charisma, it's not going to be enough. As far as being a great leader, there needs to be wisdom. So in 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 5, it starts out there. In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask what I shall give thee." So God's just presenting a proposition for Solomon. He says, hey, listen, just ask me and I'll give it to you. And Solomon said, "Thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day." So you've been with my dad, and now you're showing a great kindness to his son, Solomon. "And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in." So he's saying, I'm a young guy. I'm just not sure what's needed in order to get the job done. It's a new experience. He goes on and says, "And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?" And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, "Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast now not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days." And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem, and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings, and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. And so what's going on here? God confronted him in a dream and said, whatever you ask for, I'm going to give it to you. It's going to be yours. And Solomon had many different opportunities to ask for things, in the sense of he could have asked for peace, in that That God, just wipe out my enemies. I don't want to deal with them any longer. God, I want an endless bank account. God, I want the biggest house that you could present. God, there's so many different ways that he could have asked for something in this case. And yet, what does he turn around and do? He says, I'm young, inexperienced. God, I need your wisdom. I need understanding on what is good and what is bad. Now, have you ever been in a new situation before, in the sense of a new job, a new situation in your life? Maybe you just graduated from high school and you're going off to college, or you're going to trade school, or maybe just going right straight into the job. Whatever that might be, going to a new school, being a part of a new team, whatever. There's ways that we respond. How do we handle these new things? And Solomon is in this particular circumstance, and his answer is, hey, God, I want to trust in you for the wisdom on how to apply the knowledge that you've given me. I need to know how to respond to these people who need a correct judgment. I'm new. I don't know what to do. So, God gives it to him. God gives him the wisdom, and he says there's going to be no one like you. Solomon admitted his lack of experience. It's humility that he shows here. He doesn't just try to confidently walk in. He says, God, I need what you can give only. I can't get this for myself. So, humbly asking for discernment between good and evil. The moment that we think that we're too highly of ourselves, that we become prideful, we become arrogant, we will fall. We will fail. And Solomon didn't do that. So God gives him this wisdom, says there's going to be no one like you. You're going to be the greatest king in your time. Here it is. But then on top of that, since you asked for such a good thing, I'm going to give you long life. I'm going to give you riches. I'm going to give you... And he gives him several things, peace, that he didn't even ask for. What a blessing. Now, when you're given something, there's proving grounds. In the sense of, are you going to use what you've been given for right? Are you going to apply the wisdom given? In 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 23 through 28, it says there, Then said the king, the one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. You say, what in the world is going on here? Well, let me finish out these verses. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all the Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment. So here we come into a situation where two women lived in the same house, and they both had infant sons. And one of them, their son died in the middle of the night. So she ended up going and switching the babies out, took the other mother's son, and then they started arguing over it. And so they went before the king, and they said, King, please deal what you see fit here. And so he applies the wisdom that God gave him to do what's right. He could have just, I don't want to deal with any of you, just give me the son and you both leave. He could have just done that. Or he could have put him just in jail. He could have just guessed. But what does he do? He used the wisdom that God gave him. And this kind of sounds overboard, but you'll get the point. He ends up saying, okay, well, if you guys can't get along, I'm going to cut the baby in half, and one of you can get one side, and the other can get the other half. So that is grotesque. It is. But that's not the point. He was never going to actually kill the child. The point was this, that he was going to rely on the mother instincts of the one whose child it was. Because the one who wasn't the mother didn't care. Because she already lost her child. But the mother would cry out and say, just give it to the other one. I want my baby to live. So Solomon gives it to the real mother. See what's going on here? He used the wisdom that God gave him in order to discern what's good and what's wrong in this situation and be able to give this child. And then everyone responded with, this must be the wisdom from God. See, Solomon was doing the right thing. He was leading in the correct way with the wisdom that God had given him. Again, did he mess up through his life and not apply that wisdom? Yes, but in this moment, he reflected God's wisdom on what to do in this situation. Now, how does Christ connect with all of this? Christ connects in this way. See, Solomon was a wise king. He trusted in God. He wanted to do what was right. But yet, he points to a future king, Jesus Christ, who is a better king, who is a wiser king. You say, wait a minute, he was the wisest in all the land, humanly speaking. Jesus is God. And he has the ultimate wisdom. He's the one that gave the wisdom to Solomon. So it points to a perfect king, one that would rule well, be a righteous judge, and give of himself for the sake of people who need grace, who need mercy. Points to Jesus. So take a step back. Say, how does this apply to me? Well, where are you searching for wisdom? Is it from the world? Trying to find it within yourself? Or is it from God? I trust that will be a great challenge to you today. We'll talk to you soon, teens.